Hey, you're watching Half Asian Tarot Queen. This is my favorite deck, Mystical Shaman Oracle. Oh my gosh, when I split it, I got the Blade and the Crow. So these are like both cards about the truth. So the Crow, it kind of speaks to like the truth coming out. And like being known. And then the Blade, it speaks to, I mean, it's kind of like the Ace of Swords, like it's almost like cutting through all the weeds to get to the truth, you know. And it kind of comes with this, like, it's in alignment with the cycles of the moon, which is interesting. Like there's, like, for everything there is a season. And so it's almost like there's this moment of climax with the truth that's coming out in this reading, which looks super powerful. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. Oh my gosh. So when I pulled that out, at the bottom we have the sun. So that's really interesting. The light is being shown on the truth. Like, can't be denied. It's just out there. Like this morning when I woke up, the big news that was like everywhere was just about the nuclear power plant. Like there's this whole, you know, crisis, and Vladimir Putin is like just trying to like scare everyone into submission, and now they've taken over this nuclear power plant that's like big enough that it could like blow up all of Europe, and they're holding all the people working at the plant hostage at gunpoint. And you know, it's striking fear on, because it's like if they blew up the plant, like it would be bad enough to like blow up all of Europe, you know. So it's just like, I mean, only somebody crazy would do something like this, you know. But it's like he's revealing the truth of who he is and what he's willing to do for power. And you can't really sidestep that. It's just pretty much raw. It's raw and it's out there. Okay. Okay, so at the bottom we have the Seven of Pentacles. So this is the card of planting seeds for the future. And it's sort of like you've already planted some seeds, so you're starting to bring things to fruition, you know. But it's like you haven't totally reached your abundance yet, but there is like some potentials, and you've worked through some obstacles, but it's like in order to get to the Ten of Pentacles, some things are going to have to change. So you're sort of contemplating what that is, you know. We have introspection, which is like the Hermit card. It's like going on a spiritual quest and being led by your own light. And then we have the Two of Pentacles, which in this instance, how I'm reading it is just sort of like you're contemplating what this change needs to be, you know. And then we have Reclamation. So this is like the Devil card in the normal deck, but in this deck it's Reclamation. So it's just sort of like, what part of yourself do you need to reclaim, or where do you need to take your power back in order to like make this change happen? And just like sort of contemplating that. And then we have the Warrior of Wands, which is like the Knight of Swords in the traditional deck, which he's just like fierce. And it's just this message of truth and clarity that's coming through, because that's what's going to open the door for the change. It's like you need to distill it down into like some message that's going to cut through the weeds, which is going to allow things to move forward, and having to like distill it down into a message. And that's the awakening. That's judgment. That's the reckoning. So it's like, it's kind of like the power is in your hands and the truth has to be told, you know. So it's just sort of like interesting. I'm going to Oracle of Seven Energies now. Because yeah, like, I mean, with this situation with Vladimir Putin, and it's like people keep saying, drawing boundaries and being like, you're out of line, you know, but he just keeps pushing the ball further down the road. Like he's just like, well, who's gonna stop me, you know, like, what are you gonna do about it, you know, because he's always gotten away with it before, you know. And so it's just sort of like, at the same time, he's revealing the truth of who he is to the whole world. And so he doesn't necessarily, I don't know if he necessarily, because in his little bubble, things are the same. But this time, the truth is going out. Like, it's being, like, what's the word? Transmitted to the whole world. So the way that the whole world sees what he's doing has changed. Even if in his bubble, like, the reaction hasn't changed. So it's really interesting. But what that's going to mean for him, like, it's hard to say at this point. Okay. All right. So we have, this is interesting. We have tender embrace, and we have these elephants that are love, you know, and then we have time machine. So, I mean, the way I'm reading this card is sort of like, there's like these recurring cycles that keep happening over and over. And it's just like, the message that I'm getting from these two cards and how they came out is like, make love, not war. Like, war is not the answer. And so we need to figure out a different way, you know? It's like we have to draw the boundaries, but fighting fire with fire isn't going to work. And so in a way, like, exposing him to the whole world for who he truly is. Like, maybe that is the way. I don't know, you know? But I think this is going to mean something different for every person. But in order to break through and create this new beginning, there's some truth that's going to have to be put out there. Actually, there was a reading a few, like maybe a week or so ago, and it was called Lance the Boil. And it was all about just like having to put the truth out there and how it might not be well received. But it's sort of like, in a way, this truth is just, it's like permeating to the point where the consequences of it are being felt, like, beyond the normal sort of framework. So super ominous. Yeah, so I'll check back soon with another message and see where this goes.